Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're basically tackling a mission briefing. We're going to break down the absolutely staggering, shadowy, and honestly almost unbelievable logistics behind a U.S. president's foreign visit. I mean, the very second the president steps out of the White House, they literally become the most heavily guarded human being on the planet. And we're not just talking about a fancy motorcade here, we're talking about a full-on, military-level operation deployed right in the middle of a foreign country.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because there's this massive illusion of simplicity going on, right? What the public actually sees is this: a smiling world leader, maybe taking a casual 15-minute stroll, waving at the crowds, shaking some hands. But the behind-the-scenes reality of that one brief moment, it requires thousands of agents, massive, mind-boggling coordination, and millions upon millions of dollars. To pull off that simple walk is, no joke, actually way more complex than managing the entire Olympic Games.
So here's our mission blueprint for today's Explainer. First, we'll look at the illusion of simplicity. Then we'll track the 5-month countdown. After that, we'll cover securing the ground, the flying White House, the indestructible convoy, and finally, wrap it all up with the ultimate price tag.
Let's start with Section 1, the illusion of simplicity, deconstructing a 15-minute stroll.
15. A mere 15-minute public appearance. Just wrap your head around that for a second. Just 15 minutes out in the open requires a logistical setup so massive that it literally temporarily takes over the infrastructure of an entire host nation. This isn't something they throw together a few days beforehand. No, the planning starts seasons before the wheels even leave the runway.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 5-month countdown. The reverse heist begins.
You can really think of executing a trip of this magnitude as a reverse heist. They are planning to turn a bustling foreign city into an absolutely impenetrable fortress. And this timeline brilliantly illustrates the escalating momentum of that preparation phase. The whole thing kicks off way back in the West Wing. You've got the National Security Advisor, the National Security Council, and the Chief of Staff all meeting with the president. The moment the president gives the green light, the official countdown is on. 4 months out, the advanced survey team drops in. Just 15 days out, a second team is running live mock drills right there on location. But what actually sets this massive machine in motion? Well, it starts with a couple of highly classified pieces of paper. First, the Presidential Decision Memo, or PDM. Once the Chief of Staff signs this, it officially locks in the trip dates and the locations. Right after that, you get the Trip Directive Orders, or TDO, which map out the specific security threats and the overall focus of the visit. The second those documents are signed, it triggers the creation of the Advanced Survey Team. We're talking top experts from the White House, the Secret Service, the military, all immediately deploying to the host country to essentially take total control.
That brings us to Section 3, securing the ground, bizarre logistics, and extreme caution.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of the micromanagement. When that advanced team lands, their spatial strategy is just incredibly vast. They map out the airport, the hotel, the event spaces, and they make absolutely sure there are clear routes to a Level 1 trauma center. But they also do some truly wild stuff. They actually take samples of jet fuel from the local airport and ship them all the way back to U.S. labs just to test the quality. They meticulously track the sun's direction so there's zero chance glare will blind the convoy drivers. I mean, during a 2015 visit to India, they completely sealed 71 different buildings overlooking the route, literally counting and verifying every single person inside. Oh, and local wildlife? To keep monkeys away from the event without breaking animal cruelty laws, they actually hired humans to stand around and mimic the calls of larger langur monkeys to scare them off. You just can't make this stuff up.
But look, the prep goes way beyond securing buildings and roads. It goes right down to the president's very biology. Which brings up a strange but absolutely vital question for us. Why in the world does the president travel with a custom portable toilet?
The answer is absolute biosecurity. Seriously, all of the president's waste is collected, sealed, and flown right back to the United States. Why? Because it's completely possible for a foreign intelligence agency to intercept a sample from the hotel plumbing, and from that they could figure out the president's current health, exactly what medications they might be taking, or if they're hiding any illnesses. So yeah, even biological waste is treated as a severe, top-tier national security threat.
And that level of intense paranoia definitely extends to where the president sleeps. A standard 5-star hotel gets completely transformed into a 7-layer security fortress. Entire floors are just blocked off. They rip out routine electronics like TVs just to be absolutely sure there are no hidden listening devices. They install their own bulletproof glass over the existing windows. They set up a fully functional war room. And when it comes to food, they run duplicate kitchens, cooking the exact same menu at the exact same time, while a team of microbiological food testers analyzes literally every single bite before it ever gets to the president's plate.
Let's look upward now at Section 4, the Flying White House, control from 45,000 feet.
To really understand this airborne control, we have to look at what travels right next to the president at all times: the nuclear football. It's a black briefcase packed with emergency action documents. Inside is a black book of retaliatory strike options, a list of classified safe locations, and a 3x5-inch card known in the biz as the biscuit. That little card holds the authentication codes that let the president verify their identity to the Pentagon and literally authorize a nuclear strike from absolutely anywhere in the world.
And yes, that absolutely includes from up in the sky. Now, it's important to clarify that Air Force One isn't actually a specific plane model. It's just the call sign for any Air Force aircraft carrying the president. But the plane we usually think of is that massive Boeing 747, which basically acts as a flying command center. We're talking 4,000 square feet spread across 3 floors. Its communication systems are hardened to withstand the electromagnetic pulse of a nuclear blast. It has a mini hospital on board capable of handling surgery. And of course, it's physically escorted through the sky by top-tier fighter jets like the F-22 Raptor.
Section 5, the indestructible convoy, the 15-minute drive.
Once they actually land, the president is met by a fleet of assets that were flown in days earlier, inside these massive C-17 Globemaster cargo planes. And the most vital piece of cargo? The vehicle. 9,000 kilograms. That is the jaw-dropping weight of the presidential car, which is very aptly named the Beast. Guys, this is not a luxury sedan. It is quite literally a tank built onto a truck frame, cleverly disguised to look like a car. The extreme countermeasures built into this thing are just astounding. For starters, the doors are literally as heavy as the cabin doors on a Boeing 757. The 5-inch ballistic glass can take point-blank fire from an AK-47 or even a bomb blast. The entire cabin is hermetically sealed with HEPA filters just in case of a chemical or biological attack. The trunk carries a backup supply of the president's exact blood type, and if they're ever pursued, the beasts can deploy smoke screens, oil slicks, and even tear gas.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the wider anatomy of the convoy. It's like a highly choreographed dance. First you have the route and pilot cars. They sweep ahead with local police to totally clear traffic. Then comes the lead car, guiding the whole formation. Right in the center is Stagecoach. That's the code name for the specific car actually carrying the president, and it's completely surrounded by identical decoys constantly shifting positions. Right behind Stagecoach is Halfback, which is an SUV packed with the Secret Service counter-assault team, doors unlocked, ready to return fire. Then you have the electronic countermeasure vehicle, or watchtower, which is actively jamming remote detonators and drones. And bringing up the rear, a hazmat mitigation truck and Roadrunner, which maintains an unbroken satellite communication link directly with the Pentagon.
And believe it or not, this security envelope extends right up to the microphone. When the president finally steps out onto the stage, they are speaking from something called the Blue Goose. And no, this isn't standard event furniture. It is a heavily armored podium, custom designed by the Secret Service to act as a literal physical shield. If a crisis kicks off, agents will use the podium itself to block incoming fire. Which finally concludes our incredibly tense spatial journey from the airport to the event stage.
That takes us to Section 6, the ultimate price tag, the cost of a smile.
So all of this, the decoy planes, the sealed buildings, the thousands of agents, the mock drills, the monkey collars, the satellite coverage, it leads us to one immense financial question. Now, the White House obviously keeps the exact receipts highly classified, but reports from the Economic Times surrounding a 2015 visit by President Obama estimated the operational cost of all this at a staggering $200 million per day. Even if you fiercely debate that exact number, it really anchors our understanding of the sheer financial magnitude it takes to move just one human being safely across the globe.
So, the crucial point is this. The logistical and security apparatus for just one single day of a U.S. president's foreign visit allegedly costs roughly the same as the entire daily gross domestic product of a country like Nepal. It is an absolutely astonishing concentration of wealth, power, and resources, all laser-focused on a 15-minute public appearance.
Which really leaves us with a final thought to ponder here. We see the armor, we see the insane logistics, and the millions spent to shield one individual. But as focused learners, we really have to ask ourselves, does this ultimate projection of power and invincibility actually highlight an immense underlying vulnerability? I mean, if it takes $200 million and thousands of armed agents just to allow a leader to safely wave at a crowd, just how fragile is global leadership today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning what you see, and I'll catch you in the next one.